we go. Very good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your attendance, and thank you for those people who have braved that journey from Mount Beauty to come over here tonight in this terrible weather. I ask councillors if their mobile devices are turned off or put on silent, please. And we'll get straight into the meeting. So apologies for a little bit late tonight. Just a small interruption. Item 1, recording and live streaming of council meetings. CEO.
All council meetings are filmed with both video and audio being recorded. Audio is captured from the entire room and video is focused on the councillors and officers. By speaking during question time or at any time during the meeting, you consent to your voice and any comments you make being recorded. In common with all narrative during council meetings, verbal responses to congratulations, obituaries and questions on agenda items will not be recorded in the written minutes. The reason for recording council meetings is to hold us more accountable to our community by having as accurate a record of meetings as possible, and also improve transparency on decision making for those that are unable to attend in person. The full meeting is being streamed live on Council's YouTube channel, which is Alpine Shire Council, and a recording will be available at the same location immediately after the meeting.
Thank you. Item 2, acknowledgement of traditional custodians and recognition of all people. If we could all stand, please.
The Alpine Shire Council acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we are now on. We also acknowledge those people who have contributed to the rich fabric of our community and strive to make wise decisions that will improve the quality of life for all.
Thank you. Apologies, Councillor Nicholas, I forgot that you're incapacitated this evening through an injury, workplace accident, and we've had another one tonight as well. So, but we will overcome. Item 3, confirmation of minutes. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Second. Councillor Knapstein and Councillor Keeble. In actual fact, that meeting was held in Mount Beauty and was extremely well attended. And thank you again to those people who made that effort. I'll just take that recommendation to the vote, please. All those in favour? Carried. Apologies. Councillor Forsyth, there's an apology for tonight's meeting. Item 5, obituaries and congratulations. From my left, please.
I'd like to congratulate Cloud9. I went to a presentation last night, the Australian National Theatre Live's presentation of David Williamson's Emerald City. It was well received, and they're having 3 further events over the next 3 weeks. Well done, Cloud9. And a further one to Councillor Nicholas was awarded recently, where was it? Sorry. I've lost it.
Significant contribution to catchment management.
Sorry, yep, significant contribution to North East catchment, and the document declared that Sarah was chair of the North East CMA from 2000 to 2009. She was instrumental in establishing the CMA and developing a very community-centric organisation. She has had a parallel career in agriculture, environmental and water management, supported by a Bachelor of Agricultural Science and Masters in Environmental Law, Business and Management. Sarah has had roles that have included high-level regional, state and federal boards and committees, as well as strategic planning for various agencies and community groups. She was a founding member of the Upper Ovens Land Care Group and a local sustainability group, and was a member of the Basin Community Committee of the Murray-Darling Basin Authority 2000 to 2013. That is the calibre of our councillor, Sarah Nicholas. Congratulations. Well deserved.
Well done.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you. Councillor Keeble?
Thank you. Just congratulations to the Kemah Valley community, Alpine Shire, and for the running of the Hoppet. The Hoppet organisation was last weekend. You have to ski a lot of Hoppets to have a day like that. Beautiful day, great snow, great spectacle. Overseas visitors, local visitors, national visitors. The mayor was there as well, saw the start of the race and got a little bit of a sun on that day. But they do a tremendous job, so there's a fair bit of footage out there of that day. So well done to everyone who helped out, all the volunteers in the community. It doesn't happen without them.
I noted, Councillor Keeble, that you were there in your red lycra and doing the big one, and finished again. How many was that?
That was 20.
Number 20. Well done.
Thank you.
Councillor Roper? Nothing?
No.
Very good. Councillor Nicholas, Councillor Pearce? Okay, and nothing from myself. Other than, the Hoppet was, again, a fantastic event and a great ambassador for our region as a whole, not just for Falls Creek, but for our whole region. Item 6, declarations by councillors for conflict of interest. There are none. Public questions on the agenda items. Are there any questions on the agenda? None. I have some questions on notice that I'll go through. Very briefly, just to clarify from the last council meeting, there was some concern that a question that was sent in to council from a Mount Beauty resident, from Janine Farrington, it's in relation to the council, to the pool at Mount Beauty, and that was not presented to that council meeting, and the reason for that was that it was actually sent to the wrong email address. We found it was on admin@alpineshire.vic.gov.au, and I just probably remind people that they should be sent to info@alpineshire.vic.gov.au. So certainly not, it's just for information for people. They may not know, but if we can get that message out there, if that's where it goes, then it's going to make it much easier to track those questions. And I understand that that question was ultimately answered in the long term. So that's that one. The second question I have, or like a question or a comment, it's from the President of the Brighton District Ratepayers Association, Paula Hall, and it goes, it basically deals with some concern about the works at the current works at Paulpunka, and some concerns from residents there. And we think that the most efficient way to deal with this question, I suppose, is actually to meet with those people on site and with the relevant engineers and project leaders and the CEO and myself, and that has been organised for 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, so that it will be dealt with quickly and in a very timely manner. I hope that the weather's a little better than today to be standing out there. So these are issues that have been brought before us before, and we had hoped that some of them may have been addressed, but there is still some angst there, and hopefully we can move forward with that. The other question I have are the two. One is from the it's in relation to rail trail upgrades, ovens to bright signage for business, and from the Australian Pumpkin Seed Company, Jay and Shana Rivet, the owner-operators of the Australian Pumpkin Seed Company. And I don't know if we can get that up. Can we? Otherwise, it's quite a lengthy one to read. But question one is in relation to what does Council propose to do around increasing awareness of the majority of major attractions, oblique businesses for tourists to visit along the trail, where it is very evident that little, if any, information is signed for users as they ride. So they gave an example of riding from Bright to Ovens along the rail trail and saw no reference to any business offering refreshments, toilet facilities and or experience guided tours. So I think there's an officer who's going to respond to that part of the question. Mr. Jeremy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tourism North East and the partnering councils are very excited to have secured funding for enhancements to the Murray to Mountains Rail Trail as part of the North East Cycling Optimisation Project. The scope of the enhancements to be delivered under this project have not yet been fully defined. Council will work with the community through the scoping of this project to ensure that the funds are allocated in a way which will improve the rail trail experience and boost the local economies.
That will probably cover a little bit of the other questions where, this is part 3 of that document is, to whom do we elevate concerns about the current management of the rail trail? As Tourism North East and Alpine Shire Council have informed us, it is not currently managed by one body, resulting in several attempts to get answers to our questions being passed from one organisation to another with no resolution. Do you have a response to that?
The Murray to Mountains Rail Trail Committee of Management has been dissolved, and each council is now responsible for the management of the section of the rail trail where it is located within their local government area. Concerns around the management of the Murray to Mountains Rail Trail should therefore be raised with the respective councils or with multiple councils if the issue is of concern crosses shire boundaries. The CEOs of these councils are in regular communication, and it is this communication channel which is used to ensure a consistent approach is taken to the management of this asset.
That's as I understand it as well, Mr. Bird.
If I could just add there, so the CEOs from each of the councils and a councillor meet every 6 months in relation to the rail trail.
The middle question and the third part of this is what does Council propose to do to improve the safety of rail trail users and other cyclists when crossing major and minor intersections of the rail trail? We would specifically like a response regarding the intersection of Selzers Lane and the Great Alpine Road. We have a major tourist attraction on the opposite side of the road and frequently have rail trail users risking serious injury, oblique death, due to a lack of clear signage and a crossing point to get to our business. Even though our business occurs on the border of an 80 kilometre and 100 kilometre zone, we frequently see near misses or have reports from customers of near misses with traffic when they cross to our business. They've attached some photos. On any given day, we can have up to 100 visitors to our business from the rail trail, and this includes parties of children using the trail. We currently have no option but to stand in the road and try to assist them with crossing safely if we have someone brave enough to do it. Do you
Yep.
We have a policy on this, I'm sure.
Mr Mayor, Council has representation on a traffic liaison committee, in addition to both Vic Roads and the Victoria Police. This committee meets approximately every 3 to 6 months, and one of the tasks of the committee is to review information and requests received from members of the public in relation to road safety across Alpine Shire. Given the nature of this question on notice, which involves interaction of the public with both Council and Vic Roads managed infrastructure, the Traffic Liaison Committee is the most appropriate forum to discuss the concerns that have been raised. This issue will be added to the agenda for the next committee meeting, which we expect to take place before the end of this calendar year. We will advise the proponent of the outcome of this meeting.
Thank you. I think that's a fair enough answer. And I think we have to bear in mind too that school groups are under the supervision generally of teachers and parents when they travel along there. And I think it's also fair to say that people have to take some responsibility for their own safety when crossing rail trails and other road intersections, and that we can't be everything to everybody at all times. And it's important that they take some of their own responsibilities. The last question for the evening that I have is from a Wandillagong resident, Kate Farrell, in relation to waste management. Basically says households in the Alpine Shire deserve a reprieve, and like many resident households in West Australia are given 2 free waste facility vouchers per year. This would be a worthwhile incentive for the Alpine Shire to consider. I believe this will lower residents' dumping of rubbish in the national parks and pine plantations, or offer a once-a-year curbside hard rubbish collection. Please could this be given some thought? My question is, has the Alpine Shire considered offering 2 free waste facility vouchers per household per year, or a hard rubbish curbside pickup? Curbside waste collections are also offered throughout metropolitan Melbourne. My rates have doubled since I purchased my home, and a service like above would be a gesture of goodwill from the Alpine Shire. That's question 1. Is there someone to respond to that? Ms Cook? Yeah.
It has been the Alpine Shire Council's policy to implement a user pay system for the disposal of waste. The transfer station staff wages, in actual fact, cost greater amount than the actual amount that we retrieve through the user pay system. We could look at a separate system to this if it was something that we were asked to do, to have a look at how this would work. It would simply mean that a greater proportion of the cost of disposable waste would be subsidised by other ratepayers.
Thank you, and we're always looking at ways to better our waste management costs, which weigh quite heavily on our budget, and we have made a lot of those costs.
There's a recent green waste pickup that people could put their green waste out.
We have had, Ms Farrell was particularly talking about hard waste, I think.
We don't have a hard waste collection, and my understanding is when we have looked at it, it's very expensive, and that's one of the reasons why, or the main reason why we've chosen not to do it in the past.
Thank you. And the second part of her question is, my other query still stands about councillors being honest enough to reveal their conflict of interest on committees. Yes, I did notice at the August meeting that most of the councillors had been honest and transparent and given directions about being on various committees. They openly sought to stand aside from the funding and announcements oblique casting a vote or declare a conflict of interest on this matter. Just a query, is one of the newer councillors still on the committee of the Alpine Cycling Group Club, as stated on their website prior to the August council meeting? I'm sure this club does need money. That is a given, but being honest about being involved on the committee would be welcome. As I also noticed that if this had happened, you would not have had a full quorum to take a vote on this agenda item. Always better to play safe. I don't know if there's a comment or a question, but I understand the councillor that she is referring to is Councillor Nicholas, and I'm going to give Councillor Nicholas the opportunity to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you also, Ms Farrell, for raising a matter of governance. It's very close to my heart, having worked in that field for 15 years or so. Honesty, integrity, all those things are really important. I want you to know, Ms Farrell, that on the 8th of December at the mountain bike subcommittee meeting at the Alpine Cycling Club, it was minuted that I was standing down from the role of coordinator of the mountain bike committee because there was concerns that there may be conflict of interest arise, and that at the March Ordinary Council meeting, March 7th, I also declared that I was a member of the Alpine Cycling Club, but thought that had no conflict with the item that was coming up on the agenda. And I was questioned by Mayor Janus about whether I held an executive position, and my answer was no, because I didn't. So I am a member of the club still, and I think that's a very important part of being part of the community and contributing and getting people's input for council. And I think that the last thing in the whole question is that I wasn't part of the events or community funding assessment panel, so that I didn't actually have any decision-making powers at that point in time.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Nicholas, and I am confident as the Mayor of this Council at this time that there is no conflict of interest at that meeting. Are there any further questions? I have no further questions in writing or on notice. We'll move on. Presentation of reports by officers. 8.2.1, contract in relation to the Alpine Events Park, multi-purpose facility construction.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report relates to the award of contract 1705101 multi-purpose facility construction as part of the Alpine Events Park project. This contract includes the following works: demolition of the existing pavilion and partial demolition of the lower change room building, refurbishment and expansion of the lower change room, construction of a new upper level facility, civil works around the facility, and restoration of the grandstand, which is located in a heritage overlay. Detailed design was completed in June this year, and the work was subsequently tendered. The invitation to tender was advertised in the Alpine Times and in the Herald Sun, and on Council's website and tenders.net. We received 14 prospective tenderers and 5 submissions were received by Council. There is sufficient budget within the Alpine Events Park project budget to deliver the scope of the multi-purpose facility and to award this contract for the recommended amount. Following a comprehensive tender evaluation assessment, interviews and reference checks, the tender from Barton Street Developments is considered to present the best value option for Council.
So moved.
Councillor Roper, Councillor Nicholas. Councillor Roper?
No, nothing further to add.
Councillor Nicholas?
Yeah, I think this is a really exciting project, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the outcome, the end product.
Good. Is there any further comment? Councillor Pearce.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I concur with the comments of my dear colleague to my left, and look forward to this wonderful project. And I thank Will for his presentation last week to inform us of the project's progress, and it starts more or less very soon after the last game, I guess, was the timing, and it'll be finished there or round about Easter or in 2018, or what's the completion date, Will?
So the construction won't be completed by Easter. The lower level will be completed before Easter, and the upper level will be completed after Easter. And we've had extensive engagement with the football club, around how we'll manage that with the start of their season at Easter. So we have a plan in place to address the fact that the upper part of the pavilion won't be complete at Easter.
Thank you, but all in all it's an exciting project, and I think it'll be fantastic for all involved, football club, cricket club, and users of the events in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, any further comment? Take it to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. Uh, 8.2.2 Architectural Services. Please, is that you again, Mr. Jeremy?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. This report relates to the award of contract 1705601 Architectural Services for the Myrtleford Indoor Sports Stadium expansion and the McNamara Reserve multi-sports facility. To attain best value and considering the overlap between these two scopes, the required architectural services for these two discrete projects have been tendered as separable portions within the same request for tender. Separable portion A, Myrtleford Indoor Sports Stadium expansion. Separable portion B, McNamara Reserve multi-sport facility. Using the agreed tender evaluation criteria, the tenders were evaluated on the basis of awarding individual separable portions to the different tenderers, as well as a combined award to a single tenderer. 4 out of the 5 tenderers offered a price discount if they were awarded both tenders. The scope of the Myrtleford Indoor Sports Stadium expansion includes the construction of an additional multi-use court space with a sprung timber floor, accessible change rooms, 2 ambulant toilets, storeroom, 40 unsealed car parks and evaporative cooling. The scope of the McNamara Reserve multi-sports facility includes 2 family-friendly unisex change rooms with showers and toilets, 1 umpire change room with a shower, 1 fully accessible toilet with a shower, a kiosk and an office with a first aid station. There is sufficient allocation within the project budgets of both of these projects to deliver the planned scope of the architectural services through award of the proposed contract. Following a comprehensive tender evaluation assessment, interviews and reference checks, the tender from K20 Architecture is considered to present the best value option for Council.
So moved.
Second.
Councillor Roper. Councillor Keeble. No. Councillor Keeble.
When this project will be delivered, it'll be a great opportunity for the Alpine Shire and the Myrtleford community to be able to host regional basketball events. They need 2 courts to hold those regional events. They haven't been able to hold them before, so we look forward to seeing those events coming to our Shire, those regional basketball events.
Councillor Pearce.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, this is fantastic. The Myrtleford Indoor Sports Stadium, the issue of that being renovated and enlarged has been going for as long as I've been on council, and this is a fantastic outcome, and congratulations to the people on the ground there, some of the locals from Myrtleford who've pushed for this and have never given up over such a long period. So it's for me it's quite exciting to be sitting here tonight hearing this news. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment? I'll take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. And now that we've voted, I'd just like to add to that comment that it will be a great asset to Myrtleford. And the other exciting part of that is the multi-sport facility, which is an upgrade for the ladies netball, and they have greatly needed that upgrade facility there because it's a very outdated and cold sort of facility there. So I think the ladies certainly deserve something better than what they have at the moment, and that's also thanks to the Victoria Government for that funding there for ladies' involvement in sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Item 8.2.3, Dinner Plane Event Funding Program. Is that Ms Cook, are you speaking?
That's
Oh,
me as well.
Mr Jeremy again.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, me again. This report outlines the recommended distribution of Dinnerplane's event funding budget for the 2017-18 financial year. $80,000 was adopted by Council in the 2017-18 budget to assist with the delivery of events in Dinnerplane, in line with the previous year. Events are vitally important for the economy of Dinnerplane and a key driver of tourism, particularly in the green season. The recommendation for funding is to support a mixture of event types spread over the year. These include existing successful events and emerging events which are designed to attract visitation by targeting key school holiday and public holiday periods. An events funding panel comprising Dinnerplane residents and business owners met to discuss the allocation of funding, and they support the recommendations as outlined. Attracting event organisers to Dinnerplane is challenging, but ongoing event activity is critical for Dinnerplane's economy. Some events identified for funding have been proposed by Alpine Shire Council as a means of supporting the Dinnerplane economy. All events proposed by Alpine Shire Council are free events for the general public to attend and are targeted at holiday periods. The recommended funding for events in Dinnerplane is within the adopted budget of $80,000 for the 2017-18 financial year. It is recommended that the balance of $5,835 be left unallocated.
I so move.
Yeah. Councillor Pearce.
Yes, thank you again, Mr Mayor.
Who was the seconder, please? Councillor Nicholas. Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Pearce.
Yeah, no probs. Look, I've always thought and felt that Dinnerplane is a great asset for us. You know, it has some challenges because of its elevation and times in the winters. But we're very lucky to have inherited Dinnerplane, and to see all these events and see some of the success of some of these events that have already come up with, I think it's fantastic. And so wish that all the best with events, and it's nice to see that we're continuing to fund these events.
Councillor Nicholas.
I attended the community meeting to talk about the events, and it was great to see the people who are interested from Dinnerplane contributing and putting their thoughts into the process of event development. So a plus for Dinnerplane in that respect as well.
Thank you. Councillor Knapstein.
I just had a quick question around the New Year's Eve fireworks and entertainment, with the question settled around safety, given conditions and all of that. Yes? Okay. I'm just talking about fire risk management.
I would have to take that question on notice and respond at a later time.
Mr Mayor, if I may, I'll have a go. So my understanding is, well, they've done in the past, and they undertake a risk assessment, and they're careful in which fireworks they do let off as well, to minimise or to mitigate that risk rather.
Thank you.
Can I also add, it's the fireworks are subject to fire bans, etc. So there is a layer of risk management in place.
And also we do, I think we have the same in Bride itself, don't we?
Hang on, yeah, just a minute. I'll get back to you, Councillor Pearce. Councillor Keeble.
Sorry, Keebs.
It's okay, Councillor Pearce. All good. It was a good comment. My question is around the ice skating. I noticed in 2016 the funding was 20,000. There's a carryover for this year for the budget of 27,465. Is that because that was a 2-year contract to run the ice skating, because it's not running next year, or how does that work in that?
So essentially what we've done over the 2 years is to fund the gap between the cost of running the ice skating against the revenue that we got in. So essentially, when we consider the budget allocated last year and this year, there's no cost outside of that budget. The ice skating event was pushed strongly by the community, and it was very strongly supported by council. We did a lot of advertising. However, at the end of the day, we didn't achieve the revenue that was needed for it to break even.
Mr. Bird.
So just to be clear that Councillor Keeble would say it was a single year event. It just so happened to cross over the end of last financial year, or 2 financial years, but a single year event.
To make that clear, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to just finish off.
Yep.
Because I do love Dinner Plain, by the way. I think it's we're lucky we inherited the place. I'm looking there with a great thing too that the film festival is similar to the Banff Film Festival. That sticks out to me. It's pretty good. I'm glad that we're sending a few bob up for that event. And the first and longest running sled dog race that attracts 70 teams a year. So some of these events are pretty special.
Indeed. We'll take it to the vote. All those in favour? It is carried.
Thank you. I will need it. No, you won't.
8.3.1 High Country Library Network Shared Service Agreement. Ms Cook.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to recommend that Council sign a shared service agreement between the Alpine Shire, Benalla Rural City, Mansfield Shire and the rural city of Wangaratta that will continue the current High Country Library Network shared service for a period up until June 2020. The agreement up until 2020 has a total estimated cost for the Alpine Shire of $465,000 inclusive. This total estimated cost includes both the operational costs of approximately $219,000 and collections contributions of approximately $246,000.
So moved.
Councillor Keeble. Seconder, please. Councillor Nicholas. Councillor Keeble.
The shared service agreement, the High Country Library Network has been working really well since its inception, and it's pleasing to see that the other shires are still continuing with the same agreement, and it's a great outcome from our community. We get to keep our libraries open. People of all ages get that chance to go to libraries. We all know how important libraries are for a range of activities. So this agreement's great. Thank you. Well done.
Councillor Nicholas.
Just concur with Councillor Keeble. Libraries are an important part of our community.
Any further comments? Take to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Item 8.3.2 Annual Financial Report and Performance Statement. Adoption in principle. Thank you, Ms Cook.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present the draft annual financial report and performance statement for the year ended 30 June 2017 for review and endorsement. The annual financial report and performance statement was still being audited at the time of writing this report. While the Victorian Auditor-General can still make changes, any changes would be expected to be minor in nature. The financial statements must be adopted to Council prior to 30 September each year as required by Section 133 of the Local Government Act 1989, and the authorised councillors in the recommendation will be required to certify the report and statement after any amendments or changes as requested by the Victorian Auditor-General have been made. In summary, Council ended the 2016-17 year favourably against the 16-17 year budget. The favourable surplus is largely attributed to Council receiving additional income in the form both of additional grant income, both operating and capital, as well as additional higher than expected statutory and user fees, mainly due to an increase in property development activity in the area. In addition, Council's expenditure was lower than as was budgeted. This is largely due to employee costs being lower than budget by $918,000 and an underspend in material and services expenditure as well. The recommendation is to adopt in principle the annual financial report and performance statement for the year ended and to authorise the nominated councillors to certify the report.
So moved.
Councillor Roper.
Yeah. I would have thought not either. Second. I'll second.
Seconder is Councillor Keeble. Councillor Roper.
No.
Okay.
That's it.
Nothing to add.
Yeah, but
Okay. Button off.
Councillor Keeble.
I know the Audit Committee met today for a lengthy conversation, and I think that Councillor Napstein and Councillor Nicholas provided us with a good snapshot of that discussion, and we're happy with where we're tracking with the audit, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Any further comment?
Just after you, Pierre. No, I think. Just a question there on 1.2 statutory fees, fines and user fees. Just interested in fine revenues also increased, including fines collected in conjunction with the 2016 council election. I'm just interested, what do we get from that? Do we get fine money from election money, or what are they saying by there?
I would have to take that on notice, Councillor.
Sure, thank you.
Are you suggesting it might be in our interest to get people not to vote?
No,
Not at all.
Mr. Bird, I think you might have an explanation there.
But I'm just go out and get everyone that didn't vote, that's what I'm saying.
Councillor Pearce, I suspect it's also we're relatively conservative with our income as well.
Thank you. We'll take that question on notice for Councillor Pearce. Sorry. Right reply, yes. Councillor Rover.
I do find it frustrating that the ascribed method of accounting from the state government differs from the cash accounting, and it probably will confuse some people in the community when they try and line up our original cash budget with this document here. But let me assure you, we've been through it, and if you read the report, it'll go to helping you understand why there is a difference as such.
Well said.
Thank you. We'll take to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Item 9, Assembly of Councillors. Councillor Keeble.
Second.
Councillor Rover. I don't think there's need for discussion on that unless anybody wants any. Let's take it to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Carried. Item 10, General Business from my right. Councillor Pearce.
No general business, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor
No,
Nicholas?
none from me either.
No. Councillor Roper.
No.
Councillor Keeble.
I'd just like to say we had a very good session with our new CEO the other day. Looking at his KPIs and for the next 12 months and what we're looking at. And so just for the general public and ratepayers, just know that we've had some good discussions about where we're heading and what we're looking for. So you should see some of those outcomes in the near future.
Thank you. Councillor Napstein?
No.
Okay, and I have no general business. Motions for which notice has previously been given. There is nil, and reception and reading of petitions, and there are nil. Item 13, documents for sealing. Recommendations that the following documents be signed and sealed. There's 4 there. The second one is the employment contract between Council and Chief Executive Officer, which has been signed, that period of contract is for 5 years. The subdivision in Mummery Road, the transfer of land from Border Plant Hire to Alpine Shire Council, and a deed of variation to lease between Minister for Education for and on behalf of the State of Victoria and Alpine Shire Council. To move in a seconder, please. Councillor Napstein. Seconder, please. Councillor Nicholas. Thank you. There's no need for discussion on this. All those in favour? Thank you. It's carried. There being no further business, I declare the meeting closed at 7:49 p.m. Thank you for those who attended and made that long journey.
The two members of our gallery.
The two bravest members of our gallery. Did you hear that rain come over before? It was pouring down that rain before.
We'll just ensure that the device is not running.